Matthew, everyday audiophile, music lover, beer enthusiast. Before we get started, before my dog here chews my chair up, let's open this thing. So the beer that we've chosen today is the Lakewood Temptress S'mores. Now, being a stout, you would normally go with a snifter or a tulip as this. I've chosen the tulip just because this glass has the brewery's name on it, so obviously it'll make the beer taste better. So before we get started, let's go over some basic specifications. The A21 comes in at around 2,400 euros. You can do the conversion yourself. It's 12 kilograms or 26 pounds for us folks in the US. And it's rated for a nice 100 watts per channel into 8 ohms. This goes to 150 into 4 ohms. And really, that's all there is to it. If we look at the front, we see that we have a digital potentiometer. This is very similar to the one that was used in the A20, but now it's fully balanced through and through. We have our 2-row digital display, and then a nice and solid feeling power button. If we turn it around, it is quite heavy. That 26 pounds doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're picking it up, you definitely feel it. One big difference that you'll see is that we have 2 sets of balanced inputs. It is so nice to see. We have 3 sets of unbalanced inputs and then 1 set of unbalanced outputs. As per usual with Pedge's amplifiers, we have our pure copper binding posts, and in the far end, our IEC input. Really, it is a pretty plain unit from the outside, but it's on the inside where all of the magic happens. Obviously, my dog here has a lot to say about audio equipment. She herself has grown quite fond of jazz, but can you blame her? Okay, so on the inside of this, if you open it up, what you'll find is 2 transformers. And I find that usually quite odd for an integrated amplifier. Usually it'll be 1 transformer or 2 transformers of the same size. But right after the IEC, he has a DC blocker. It's a nice big set of capacitors. He has then 2 transformers. One is dedicated to the preamp circuit. That is the smaller transformer of the 2. And then a bigger transformer that powers the Texas Instruments LM4870 or 4860 transistors. That's what gives us its 100 watts per channel, and I have a lot of thoughts about how it sounds. First though, let's talk about what's most important to me, and that is sound staging. So, as you would expect from an integrated amplifier, the left to right sound staging is wonderful. And I say that because, in my opinion, it's the speakers that play the biggest part in sound staging overall. The left to right, front to back, and height are all a function of the speaker design, your room, and how you have them set up in that room, as well as the treatment. That said, the equipment can play a part, especially with tubes, a little bit less so within solid state, but the fact that, yes, this gives you that nice left to right and a good soundstage depth means that, at the very least, this is well engineered. Where I will spend more time talking, though, is in the highs, mids, and lows, and just the overall tonal presentation of the amp. It took about 200 hours for this to really break in. I will be quite honest that when I first got it, there was no bass, and the highs were a little shrill, and overall, it just wasn't that fun to listen to. I ended up having to leave it on for about a week straight, just letting it play music at a low volume, and it wasn't until I came back afterwards that it finally had the bass that I was looking for, and it wasn't overly bright. The A21 just has an overall character that is very neutral, but very punchy in the very punchy in the low bass, while still providing all the air that you need in the highs. That's not to say that the amp didn't have Pedge's flavor, as I would call it, as I listened to his S5 and S5B. It definitely sounds like an analog piece of gear. And it should be, right? This is an integrated amplifier, but when I listen to his S5B, his DAC, I get the sensation that what Pedja is really going for is a DAC that can play, obviously, digital files, but has that analog character about it. And that's something that's not lost on the A21. With any type of music that I played it played it with just a sense of ease in that mid-range that you come to expect from EL84s, which is by reference tube. It's not like a 2A3 or a 300B that has that bloominess. It's still very neutral. It's just the music flows and you just want to listen to it, and it has a right balance between musicality and those micro details. Sometimes when you get too much detail in the music, it can sound a little bit grainy. It can sound like you're listening to the equipment instead of the music itself. And this threads that needle very nicely. It's something that just as I kept listening to it more and more, it became very obvious the design goals. Now, before we talk about its low-end performance, that's one area that I really want to talk about. Let's talk about remotes. In the A20 and the S5, I mentioned this standard wooden remote. This is the normal one that you can get on the website. In addition, Pedja also has an aluminum remote. This is cut from 2 pieces of aluminum. It is very, very shiny. And to be honest, I have some mixed feelings about this. I think if I had my choice, I would get this in the same color as the amp, or in the same brushed aluminum that his silver products are. As it is right now in this shiny aluminum, it's kind of a fingerprint magnet, and it's not quite my favorite. It does feel nice in the hand, and it does have a nice heft to it. Not too heavy, not too light, but the fact that it is such a fingerprint magnet, unfortunately, it does keep me going back to the wooden remote. That is a very special remote, and I think Pedja knows that. It's to me, it's the better of the two. Now, bass performance. Mids are exactly what you expect. Like I said, they're just the nice amount of detail, nice balance and musicality. Highs are wonderfully neutral and extended, lots of air. The bass is one area that this kept on surprising me. It has bass slam that I would attribute to an amplifier that costs more. When I compared this to the Rega Osiris with its 4 transistors per channel has such grip on the low end that you would easily mistake it for running separate. That's how much grip it has on that low end. It's extraordinarily tight. I'm not sure what voodoo magic Pedja has brought in this A21, but it was so incredibly close that I would say the lows in this, the bass control in the A21 is so good that if I was in a blind AVX comparison with this and my Rega Osiris, I would have a hard time telling them apart. The highs and the mids are a different story. It's just a little bit different of a presentation, and the Rega is just a smidge brighter than this, which is a nice thing because I can appreciate this not being bright but being more on the neutral side. But like I said, I'm not sure what Pedja is doing. Compared to the Osiris, this looks like a rather plain circuit on the inside. But after exchanging some emails with him, he has mentioned that it took him several years to come up with a circuit design that he was happy with. It kept on having a character that he just wasn't a fan of as he was listening to his music. So the fact that this circuit has matured over the course of several years, just based on his ear and his preferences for music, that means you know that this is the ultimate expression of what he believes a reference amplifier is. And to me, it shows so much that for the time being, this is now my reference. The Rega Osiris has stepped down officially from that role in my system, and for the time being, this will be taking its place. I can't say that it'll be there forever. There is other equipment that I plan on looking into, stuff that is, for better or worse, more expensive than this, and things that are separates. If I had one request of Pedja, it would be your next reference needs to be separates, in my opinion. What I would love to see is a preamp section and a stereo amp section, or if you wanted to get fancy, cut this chassis in half and make it a monoblock. I think that would be so wonderful, and I would love to hear it. I'd also wish that it had a VU meter, but that's just me wishing. But until then, I will talk with you all next time, and I will keep on enjoying this music. Cheers.